Hello, and welcome to the show. I am your host, Antoinette Blake, the DE Diva, aka the Delaware Blogger, and I am here with you every Saturday at 10 a.m., bringing you podcasting pointers that will help you to expand your brand online by simply using your voice. You can reach out to me by sending an email to info@ablakeenterprises.com, and you can find and follow me on all my social media platforms by simply using the Linktree ID A Blake Enterprises. Again, welcome to the Delaware Blogger Podcast, and make sure you share this episode and any other episode that you found to be of interest with your family, your friends, your bae, and your boo too. And until the next time, see ya. It's the DE Diva. Let me ask you a question. Does the length matter? How long should a podcast episode be? Get your mind out of the gutter. That's right. Today on episode number 309 of the Delaware Blogger Podcast, we're going to talk about the length of your podcast. Now, because this has been a frequently asked question from forever. I addressed it before back in 2020. I think, wrote a blog post about it on the Delaware Blogger Podcast, but it's still something that needs to be addressed. So once you've decided to start a podcast, you've chosen your title, your topic, and your description. You've got your equipment, your mic, your laptop, your headphones, all that cool looking gear. Now you want to think about, how long is this going to be? How long am I going to talk? Should I be talking 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour? Well, I don't know about you. I love to listen to myself, but an hour is a bit too much. Pre-pandemic, remember? We were podcasting and it was becoming really more popular because people were home. And before, I always heard that you should record no longer than 28 minutes, which at that time was the normal commute on a bus, a train, or, an automobile. But now, most people are working remotely, so that has changed. Our commute now is 13 stairs. So if you're commuting from your bedroom to the living room or from your bedroom to the basement, your attention span is shorter, just like your commute is short. So let's think about this. Does the length matter? How long should a podcast be?
Are you ready to join the billion-dollar podcasting industry? If so, Blake's Booth Podcasting Studio is ready for you. Whether you're just starting out and have no equipment, or you're a seasoned pro but need help with production, Blake's Booth Podcasting Studio has everything you need. Conveniently located in Middletown, Delaware, Blake's state-of-the-art production facilities make producing your first or 100th podcast a breeze. No matter what kind of project you have in mind, the professionals at Blake's Booth Podcasting Studio can help with your production or give you the tools to produce it on your own. At the heart of Blake's Booth Podcasting Studio is award-winning blogger, vlogger, and CEO Antoinette Blake, and her goal is simple: to help one more entrepreneur be successful. So stop making excuses and start making your podcast, audiobook, e-course, and other online dreams come true. Call Blake's Booth Podcasting Studio now. 302-261-3530. That's 302-261-3530.
A couple of years ago, I presented via Zoom at a podcast convention, and I chose the topic, creating a binge listening podcast. I'm going to leave you a link to it so you can check it out. And we wanted to know if podcast binging was similar to Netflix binging. You know how people say you want to Netflix and chill? That became such a popular phrase. But creating a binge listening podcast was my topic. And I talked about some of the things that you needed to include in order for people to sit down and listen to an episode after an episode after an episode. But when you're creating a single episode, you want to make sure that you are covering the topics that you have promised in the title of that show. So if you're going to talk about the length, if the title of your podcast is How Long Should It Be?, then you should talk about it, no more and no less. If you're an interview style host, like I am on Wednesdays on the Out and About with Antoinette podcast, I have questions that I want to talk to my guests about. And I stick to those questions. Of course, there's going to be some ad-libbing, but we don't go off on a tangent for, 45 minutes because that can get boring. So think about it this way, just like when you're blogging. If you can say something in 50 words, why write 500 words? So if you can cover your topic in 18 minutes, then do it in 18 minutes. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes on the nose, 25 minutes on the nose, or even 30 minutes on the nose. And even if you promise a 15-minute episode and you go to minute 17, that's okay too. Remember, your episode should be the title and the promise that you're giving your listeners. And you have to do you, boo-boo. Don't have to, worry about what everybody else is doing. Just make sure that you are doing you. And you know who your target market audience is, right? So if you think that your audience would listen to a 60-minute podcast show, then you're going to create a 60-minute podcast show. However, if your audience, their attention span is shorter, then you can break it up into mini episodes because they will then binge, right? People can listen to an episode, do something while they're listening, take a break and continue, or they can do all this, their chores, their whole entire Saturday chores by binging to multiple episodes of your podcast. Now, personally, I prefer shorter podcasts. And most of mine are never more than 20 minutes long. And this is because that's the way I like it. And that's the way my listening audience numbers are rising. So remember again, do you boo-boo, right? Hit it and quit it. Leave your audience wanting more each and every week. Remember, this is an intimate relationship that you are building, so it might be worth the wait. People want more information, they're going to come back and get more information. So whether your podcast is informational, inspirational, entertaining, or educational, make sure that you stick with what you know works for you and your audience. Podcasts are personal branding tools. You are sharing your skills, your speaking skills, your interviewing skills with your listeners. Podcasts are going to help you grow. It's going to increase your brand. And because the market isn't saturated yet, believe it or not, there are less than 1 million active podcasts. There might be more than 1 million podcast shows out there, but they're not consistently bringing fresh content. And less than 1 million or even 1 million is small. So remember, your podcast can help you, stand out from your competition because there's not a lot of content out there. So you can determine how you want your show to flow. But be consistent. If it's 15 minutes, 18 minutes, 20 minutes, keep it within that timing. If you want to learn more, if you want other podcasting tips, there's 3 things you can do. 1, you can binge on previous episodes because this is episode 309? Is that like 309 episodes? Yeah. Not every episode was about podcasting, but I started this in 2017, the Delaware Blogger Podcast. So I've created over 309 episodes. Don't go back and listen to episode 1 because it was probably 5 minutes of me talking off the back deck about the birds and the bees or the trees or the whatever. But anywho, make sure that you are listening to the previous episodes, of the Delaware Blogger Podcast, because there's plenty of pointers here. 2, you can send me an email and I'll send you a 7-step podcast checklist. Or 3, you can sign up for my 5-week podcasting course. So send an email to me at info@ablakeenterprises.com. Enjoy the rest of this beautifully blessed day. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Delaware Blogger Podcast, because every week I am bringing you podcasting pointers that will help you to broaden your brand and expand your exposure online by simply using your voice. And if you'd like to be a sponsor for the show or you have suggestions, please send an email to info@ablakeenterprises.com. You can find and follow me on all my social media platforms by simply using the Linktree ID A Blake Enterprises. Check out my other podcast, Out and About with Antoinette, every Wednesday at 1, where I'm interviewing some amazing people from in and around the state of Delaware. So until the next time, make sure that you share this podcast with your family, your friends, your bae, and your boo too. And I'll see ya when I see ya. See ya, it's the DE Diva, aka the Delaware Blogger.